Hi everybody, I'm Trin Johnson and welcome to Dust in My Eye. Today I am going to do a sketchbook tour. I'm very excited because I've been working on this sketchbook since the end of 2021 and I finally finished it. It was the little book that fits in my standing watercolor kit, and I can link that up, hopefully get it to link up here in the corner, and otherwise there will also be a link in the description and how I made it and what it's about. And this fit very nicely in there. I didn't always use this one, but this was the one that I generally used with that, and I have used it over the years, and I am ready to do a sketchbook tour. So if you like that sort of thing, come and join me because today's the day. Woo! So I'm going to start out by telling you this is a Tumarta watercolor journal. Tumarta, I think. Tumarta. Anyway, it's on Amazon, and I would link that in the bottom too. It's inexpensive. And it worked pretty well most of the time. It wasn't like, oh, this is my favorite paper, but it did pretty well. It held together pretty well. I mean, this thing is old. And I had to retape this back part at one point. I don't even remember doing it, but I obviously had to do that. Otherwise, it did pretty good. So it was a nice size, nice price, and I would buy it again. So the first thing I did was, after I made my standing watercolor kit, I went out to test it. And that is the first page in here, is me testing my kit. And I went to a town nearby here, and my daughter was walking the trail, and I stood at a bridge in the middle of the city, really, and painted the river to see how well the whole kit worked. And it did pretty good. I was pretty pleased with it. So that's what that is. And then I went out, it was the middle of winter. That was December of 21. This is January of 22. And I went to a nearby Kroger parking lot. And we have a lot of orchards around here, and painted this really cool red barn that I had seen for years and years and years. And I sat in the parking lot because it was January, and painted in my car with my kit. And it worked fine until I was trying to do these lines. Were kind of tricky to try and do and keep this paper in this direction, not change the direction of the paper, so you could see what I was doing. I will also link that video there. I'll try and link any of the ones that I have videos of. About 3 months later, in the spring, they tore the barn down. So I was really, really pleased that I went out and painted it when I did, because it's not there anymore. It's just rather sad. And now this one I painted at a local metro park. Again, this was in February of 22. I did go out and sit at a picnic table for a little while, I think, and then I finished it in my car. I have that Raynaud syndrome, so I don't do well out in cold things. I don't do well in our own freezer or in grocery stores, but I did try and paint this outside. So that's what that one is. Now this one is also Stony Creek Metro Park, but this is March. I went back. This one was February, wasn't it? Yeah. I went back in March and painted another scene. Again, I think I started outside. I'm not quite sure if I got the whole thing done outside. It was a long time ago, so I don't really remember. It was 2 years ago, and I didn't film either of those, I don't think, because it'd been too hard. in the winter outside. This is the Stratford River in Stratford, Ontario. I'm not sure if it's the Stratford River. It's the river in Stratford, Ontario. And we are on our way to a wedding, a family wedding. And we went via Stratford and walked around Stratford a little bit and sat on this little island in the middle of the river and painted the river. That my husband and I, that was kind of fun. That was St. Patrick's Day of 2022. Now this one, I took my little standing kit and my tiny little chair that I have. It's very lightweight, and took a walk. And on the way back from the walk, I stopped at this pond and sat on my little chair and painted with that watercolor kit, my standing watercolor kit, sitting down. And this was just a little pond that I saw. This painting is, my husband and I were at our cottage and the electricity went out and we had to find some breakfast, and there was only north of us that had electricity. So we went up to a little town we were not real familiar with, and we were trying to find this diner that was supposed to be open, and we got lost and had to turn around and go back. And this was the driveway we turned around in, had this little pond in front and these cool trees. And so I took a picture and sat at the diner when we got there and painted that one. And then this one is Addison Oaks. It's another metro park nearby us, and they have this Bavarian kind of architecture. And my sisters and I think my husband too, went out and sat and did some plein air. This is April of 2022. That one was April also. And that was kind of fun. Now this one is a 2-page spread, and this is from probably Memorial Day weekend of May 22. And the town that's near our cottage has this really nice park down by the water. And we sat down there and painted that. And that's what this is, my husband and I. This one, there was a pub in there's a little town just like within walking distance of our cottage. And I mean little, very little. And it had a general store and a pub for a while. Right now it does not have either. And I painted that out the window while we were waiting for our food to come. And this one is from a park called Rivers Bend, I believe. And it's near here, and I used to do an art fair there. And one year, 2022, after the art fair, my sisters and I packed the car up, and then we went out and found a spot to paint. And this was out in the woods, and it was this path coming down from the woods. That's what that is. And then this one is at Lake St. Clair, I believe, and near my sister's house. And there was a nice blue heron sitting out there in the sun, and that's what this picture is. And this one, we went to a winery. With my whole family was here visiting from California, and they had this big bunnies, and baby bunny sat by us, and so I took some pictures of him and painted baby bunny. That is in September. Now, my sister was here because we go to art camp, and art camp started the next week, and this spread is from art camp, and I will put the person's name who did a demonstration. I've got to dig that up, and she was wonderful. I believe her first name was Catherine, and I just don't remember her last name. And it was really cool. We did she did a demonstration, and then we did a little version of our own, picked our own things to paint around the park that we stay-in for our camp, and met lavender that day. And I really like lavender. So I don't think I had it to use that day. I was making up a lavender, but then I went out and got some, and I really like it for shadows. So I was along those same lines. We then went to Irish Fest in Muskegon, and I was doing the next few paintings are akin to what I learned from her. And this is the park where Irish Fest is. These were some swans. This was a boat that was out in the water. And those were all from Irish Fest. And then in October, I went and sat on the beach down a little ways from where our cottage is and painted this blue roofed shed that has this cool blue roof that I have painted many times. And I sat and painted that on the beach. This one is again from Addison Oaks, where the Bavarian architecture is, but it was back in the woods in the fall of 22. And this is also fall of 22. My husband and I, on our way to the cottage, went to Arkona, to the Rock Glen Conservation Area, where there's a waterfall in Ontario. And we sat right by the waterfall and painted it. It was a lot of fun. Now I'm up on Mackinac, and this one is 2023. Yeah, 2023. It's the little white church on Mackinac. And then this one is out of order because this one is 2022 or 10/2022. So I probably skipped this page. I don't know if this one was wet, and painted this up at the cottage. So it goes from this to this to this to this. I think this was off in the woods at the cottage. And then I painted that on Mackinac, and then I painted this on Mackinac. We sat on the big porch of the island house and had a nice little drink and painted the harbor across the street from us. My sisters and I did that, I should say. Now this one is in October of 2023. The colors were drop dead gorgeous that year. And this was up by our cottage, and we sat up on the bluff and looked out over just gorgeous colors and painted. My husband and I did that together. And then I didn't paint in here for quite a while. And I had other things going on. And just recently, we were up at the cottage, and we decided to go to town and do some plein air. And we wanted to paint one of the old houses, and he had a particular one in mind that he knew of. And we sat across from it and painted, and I wanted to do a double spread, so I skipped a page, which was fortuitous in the end. And we sat there and sketched it in, and we had dinner reservations, so we only had about an hour. And the person that owned the house, or her family owned the house, saw that we were painting and asked what we were doing, and told us that her family had lived there for 50 years, and the next day was their last day of having the house, that they had sold it. It was her childhood house, her childhood home. And she said she wanted to buy our sketches. We hadn't gotten very far yet. And my husband still has to finish his. I finished this one the next morning, pretty much. And then the next day we went and showed her what we had done and talked to her a little bit and got her number and that. And she took us on a tour of the house on the inside. And it was lovely. And her whole family was there. It was their last day. And it was really nice. So we have to work this whole thing out. I have to bring them to her. And next time we're up there, if Doug gets his done, because he's still got to finish his painting. And we're going to scan them so that they can make copies for all the siblings. She has 10 siblings. So any of them that want it, then we can kind of take the middle part and do some Photoshop to make it smoother in the middle. And I will give them the original, and we'll give them a copy of the Photoshop file so that they can make prints of it and it won't have the middle part in it. The weirdness of being a split page. But since I had skipped that one, I don't even, just because I wanted a full spread, I now have 2 that I skipped so that I can take this out and not miss anything, which I have done before when people want something from my sketchbook. And then this one was out the window when we went to a restaurant nearby here to have supper, and we sat and painted, and that was a lot of fun. He painted a picture of our grandbaby, and I painted that out the window. Now this, I love this picture. We have these flowers that just are pink and fluffy in our garden, and I had taken some pictures of them, and I just went, I am just going to go to town. I barely sketched it in, and this is gouache, and I think a little bit of watercolor, I'm not sure. And I just went to town, and it just makes me happy. And then the next time I walked out the door and noticed my pink flowers, they were all gone. They had bloomed, and they were all brown. So I was really happy to have taken photos and have done this picture. That was just the beginning of this month. Now this one, we were up at the cottage, and I sat out on the beach and painted the neighbor's canoe and painted towards the north. That was kind of fun. There were some chairs in there, but I didn't need the chairs, so I edited those out. And that was a nice day sitting on the beach. This one, my sister is back in town for the summer to visit, and my friend offered up her backyard for a plein air painting session in her backyard. And so we went over to her house, and the 4 of us sisters and my friend sat on her back porch, or I started in the yard, but it got a little buggy, so I had to finish it on the back porch, and did some plein air in her backyard, which was a lot of fun. And then my last one, this little guy is a photo I took at the cottage up at the top of the hill, and the daisies were in bloom, and these little red flowers were in bloom, and there's a pretty tree and some trees. And I went, oh, I got to paint that. So I made my husband stop at the top of the hill, and I took some pictures, and then I made him stop on the way back when it was sunnier the next day and took some more pictures. And that's what this one is. So I finally finished it. Yay. Now I have to cut out the house and package that up. But I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad to have finished a sketchbook that from way back. And now I got to get a new one to fit in that container. And like I said, any of them that I videotaped, I will put links in, and hopefully links within the video so you can get there easy, or you can go and check out the description and get there afterwards. And anyway, so if you liked this video, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of future videos, hit the cute little bell. And please check out my Etsy shop, where I have prints of my artwork along with some cute little monsters and some other fun stuff for sale. So see you later. Bye.